Hi, my name is TG Trooper, and with me today is Jools Abrams, a rather successful author. Would you say you're successful?
Prolific, maybe.
Prolific. There is a slight difference, isn't
Yes,
there?
yeah.
Slight difference in the bank account.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
Okay, so I have, as usual, my clipboard. So, Jules, how did you come to writing?
Well, I, like most writers will say, have always written. I think it came through reading, very important to read, using the local library when I was little because books weren't around so much. They were things that you got for Christmas or for birthdays. They were special things. The nearest bookshop was W.H. Smith's, which wasn't very, broad in its approach. So I would spend a lot of time in the library. I wrote stories when I was at school, mostly based on what I'd read, so they were often doors to other worlds. I continued writing when I was working as a teacher, so I started writing plays and assemblies for the children I was teaching. And then when the kids went to school and I had a bit more time, I started to take it a bit more seriously. And an opportunity came up with an organisation called the Script Factory in London to be mentored to do a screenplay. So I went along to that. I won an overnight writing challenge at the Soho Theatre. Rupert Graves performed my screenplay, and then that led to me thinking about I'd like to go back and study writing. So I applied to do an MA at Birkbeck in children's literature and creative writing, was interviewed by Michael Rosen, who offered me a place, and he became my tutor.
Oh, nice.
So that gave me the basis for my first novel, really, and enabled me to take it more seriously. So I was writing in my spare time, and then I broke my leg. And that gave me a lot of spare time. And I saw a small ad in Dyslexia magazine, which was for people to write life stories for other people through an agency called Story Terrace. And I applied and I got that, and that was just over 10 years ago. And since then I've written 40 plus books for others, life stories, children's stories as a ghostwriter.
Okay.
So that's my income, if you like, my professional income, although it is tiny. But I work on my own stuff as well. I won an award with Wasafari on life writing. And again, it's these competitions and opportunities. Then I got a bursary to work on a novel with the mentorship of Kerry Hudson and the Literacy Consultancy. And that was my first novel, Girl in the Mirror, which was published in 2022. And so that's, it all sort of linked together like a jigsaw, if you like. There's portfolio career, you could call it.
Very nice, very nice. What gives you ideas and what inspires you to write?
Well, absolutely anything. I think what gives me ideas is definitely, we're coming back to reading again, books that I've read, your imagination. I think most writers have a pretty vivid imagination. Dreams, that moment between wake and sleep. The French writer Voltaire had a good trick. So he said that if you go and have a nap, an afternoon nap is a very good idea, and you're getting into that alpha state, so your imagination is starting to work, very often then you'll fall asleep and forget what you were thinking about. But if you hold a ball in your hand, at the point where you are about to drop the ball, it wakes you up, and then write that down. So those are, ideas that come to you from your imagination and from the world around you, from life and listening to people.
What does a typical writing day look for you?
So a typical writing day, if I'm going to write a memoir with somebody or a life story, I'll go over to their house and interview them for 2 to 3 hours, come back, transcribe it, and using that transcription and research notes and basically being nosy, finding out about their life and historical periods through their life, I form a narrative for their book. If I'm working on my own stuff or working at home, I try to get to my desk at about 10, and I'll write for 4 or 5 hours in blocks, interspersed with domestic stuff and all the things that need doing in between, like the cleaning and the ironing and the gardening, and life. But try to take some breaks when you're writing as well, because you need to move, you need to be, active too.
So, tell me about your first actual novel, Girl in the Mirror.
Okay, so Girl in the Mirror, which is this one. This was written on the back of something I overheard in a family get-together, a bit of a do, as we have up north, that my uncle said about my maternal grandmother and how difficult she had been. And I thought, well, nobody really knows what she was like before she had children, and the age she was and the time that she grew up in, the sort of, before and after the Second World War. I wanted to give her a voice. So I looked at her life story and I used it as a very loose framework to create a new character. This woman who had grown up in a house where love was still on ration, really, found her own way of escape, but battled with a fragile mind. And the treatments that were given to her then, the electric shock therapy, the difficulties she had struggling with that, and then ultimately finding a sort of peace through family and through the support of loved ones. So that's how this book came about.
So you're working on a memoir now.
Yes.
This is The Sibling and She Who Dares book.
Yes. So The Sibling, after writing 40 odd other memoirs for other people, I thought it was time I wrote my own. So this is a mock-up of the cover. It's my memoir about my experience growing up as the sister of a brother who was diagnosed with autism and learning difficulties in 1975. So a very different time. It's about our misfit family and how we negotiated that period in our lives, and also where we are now as siblings with ageing parents and what our relationship is like now. So it's partly set locally when we started doing walks together in lockdown, and then it looks back on our life as children and his experience moving through the education system and my experience as a sibling, which is, in America they're called glass children. So it's as if you are looked through because the other sibling requires so much more care. There's extracts on a great charity called SIBS, which is specifically for the siblings of people with disabilities, and also on BBC Sounds. We're crowdfunding successfully for a copy edit, which is being done. I just need a publisher and distribution, which we're hoping we'll get. And if not later this year, I'll do it myself. The She Who Dares book is about a women's activity group that has been going about 40 years. And this is a handbook of adventures and pursuits for women. That's going to be available on Amazon in April next month.
Okay.
Yeah, that's done.
Excellent. Where are your best places to write? Do you have a special place where you sit and write?
I'm very lucky that when my daughter left home about 10 years ago, I made her bedroom into a little writing room. So I've got that space within the house, but I can write anywhere. I think so long as you can focus and you can shut out the outside world. So I often write on trains, planes, when I'm travelling, outside in nature as well. I think it's important to try and get out as much as possible. So, I'll take a notebook with me wherever I go. And I've always written a diary as well. So, yeah, I will write on the move.
What are your favourite writers to read? Who do you enjoy reading?
I read a lot of memoir. Actually, I'm getting a little tired of it now. I need to move on to reading a good novel again. But I really like Kit de Waal, Tiffany Murray, who wrote a great memoir about growing up in Wales at Rockfield Studios, where David Bowie and Freddie Mercury recorded. Currently there's a book by Catherine Carr called Who's the Favourite, which is about siblings as well. So I'm reading that. So I'm reading a lot of non-fiction, But for novels as well, Kate Atkinson is one of my favourite writers, and Maggie O'Farrell too. And I'll throw in non-fiction as well, Adam Farrar, who is a good memoir writer and his really funny books. Yeah.
What do you do when you're not writing?
Right, well, when I'm not writing, apart from all the domestic things that happen, I'm out with She Who Dares, having adventures every week, doing different things, from co-steering to kayaking and axe throwing to archery, you name it, we have done it. I'm out walking with my dog, or with friends, and travel as much as possible and visiting different people. It's all life experience that feeds back into the writing.
Yeah, all life experience. What advice would you give to anyone who's thinking about becoming a writer?
Maybe keep the day job for quite a while as well, because you need something to pay the bills. And I have found that my income over the past years has really dropped with the rise of AI. It's been a difficult time to be a writer, to earn a living as a writer. But I think we all need to write. We all need to express ourselves.
Yeah.
So if you want to write, write. Write as much as you can, as regularly as you can, and just for the pleasure and for the joy of writing.
Yeah. Okay, well, Jools Abrams, thank you very much. Oh, finally, where can people buy your books?
So Girl in the Mirror and the She Who Dares book are available on Amazon and in independent bookstores and Waterstones. The Sibling will be either on Amazon or in independent bookstores later this year, but most of them are available on Amazon.
Okay, excellent. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And now